When I look to reincarnation, the evidence for it is very, 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 very solid. When you look at the totality of it and all the experience that people had, then I, following the clues, which is it becomes part of my life, I started to question what the spirit world was, because I read a lot about people who had been regressed to hypnosis, psychiatrist, back to what they call between life state, and in other words, between experiences in this reality. And I start reading what people were saying in the common themes were very, very compelling. And when I was reading these things, I was thinking, that's a hierarchical prison as well. People were talking about, I go in front of elders to go discuss my last life, or I have to go to the kind of school to learn about this or that. And I'm like, what? We are consciousness. We are all that it is and ever could be. We are spirit, eternal spirit, connected to all spirits. We are ultimately all that being and what could ever be. What's all that on about? And I looked at the basic story of reincarnation, which I asked to accept it. Hold on. If you take the size of a universe as projected by mainstream science, compared with the planet Earth is equivalent to a billionth of a pin head. So you're telling me you have to keep coming back into this billion of a pinhead to learn a lesson, so can you reach a state of enlightenment so you don't have to do this anymore? It quite didn't make sense to me. Billions on a pinhead? So I mean, no sense, but at the same time, reincarnation, from the evidence that I've looked at from many, many years, does make sense. That is happening. So, if I put a reincarnation into another context, what if this level of the simulation is not the only level of the simulation? What if, when you leave the body, if you leave it in a certain vibrational state, you're still in the same simulation, but you are on another level of it. And to what is happening is soul's consciousness being recycled in and out of this reality over and over again. And basically, one of the things that is doing through all the emotional trauma and upset and whatever have come from that in the world, how it's structured, is that you're giving off low vibrational emotion and thought all the time. Depression, fear, big one, anxiety, all this low vibrational emotions, resentment, hatred. And what do those emotions resonate to? As frequency terms, I say to the lower level of the astral. Because basically, to a very large extent, not absolutely in totality, but in a very, very, very large extent, if you can't see it, it's the fourth dimension of the fourth dimension. So you can feel emotion, and you can sense thought, and you can feel vibes coming out of the people, but you can see them. You can see the effect of them, but you can see them and what that is doing. Feeding energy into this lower astral, which is the realm of that which is ultimately manipulating the world of the seen human world via people in the gates of all of these people. When you look at the global cult and secret societies, it is serving the interest of this lower astral fourth dimensional force. And we, by the effect of that manipulation, of feeding and empowering with our energy that lower astral force, which is obviously brings back image of Morpheus in the Matrix and the battery, and saying the machine, and turning people into these batteries. You see the babies and the energy generated by the level of the babies, and these machines are empowering machines. Symbolically, what is going on? The babies on the machine connected. It's very old esoteric concept which you can find in symbolized of other way different cultures, and what's called the ring pass knot, which perceived as an energetic barrier beyond which you cannot pass unless you are in a certain high vibrational state that comes from your perceptual state, which comes from your self-identity state. And the official story of reincarnation, you have to keep reincarnating to learn lesson, to reach a state of enlightenment, a state of a frequency, which allows you to break the cycle of reincarnation. And the point being, how can you learn lessons if you keep coming back into this realm with your memory of the lesson that you already should have learned wiped? So you basically starting with a blank sheet. You can be influenced from the subconsciousness by previous life, previous experience, but you don't overwhelmingly consciously know what's happened, and you're starting with a blank sheet of paper. What do you mean learning lessons? And there was a situation that you may experience, and the only time you can experience if you take ayahuasca. And that when a female voice take, the divine feminine voice take a place in your brain and tell you about the illusion. I was shown this field in the consciousness, and there was a path, mud path going across it, and suddenly people starting falling out of the sky while I was watching the sky. And I'm walking all around the path, and more than okay, and wearing the past getting deeper, and then it morphed into, you can say, an aesthetical, or into a groove, like dark, but you can't see anything. It was like an implication of what the voice is being perceptually showing you. Soul, consciousness are coming in through reincarnation, already programmed, reprogrammed, and they lock into the program. And so far from reaching a point of enlightenment, you can break out the cycle, with the vast majority going deeper to the cycle. Look around you. Karmic, more and more in the cycle, self-identity perception of a human form. And for me, I was saying and seeing and looking all the way through, we are entrapped in terms of frequency vibration within this trap of reincarnation, of this simulation, because we are manipulated not to reach a state of awareness, thus frequency that allows us to get out of that trap. And the answer is always the same: self-identity. You are not your body. That's an expression of the simulation. You are not by the simulation into the simulation through the body. We're reaching the point with more and more people are starting to realize, remember who and what they are. And as they do, so you expand your self-identity from an ethereal check out, as are always pretty ever have been a brief experience, and you start to expansion yourself of frequency. And if you leave the body in a state of self-awareness or true I, then you're out of the trap. And that's the big revelation. That this cult and non-human fourth dimensional or fourth astral masters as demons, they don't want us to know about.